So we are here in front of our property at the base of the canyon, and I'm with Julian and Graham. Graham is our assistant winemaker. You probably remember him from videos that he did last year. Julian is our hospitality director. He joined us earlier this year, and I wanted to show them a couple spots of the property that are kind of unique in explaining the geology of the site and the complexity of the soil. And as I said many times, complex wine come from complex soil. And we have a unique situation here with a young mountain, the Mayacama mountain range that you see in the back. The creek that is right behind me is a tributary to the Upper Creek, the main creek that flows into the town of Yountville. That creek drains a huge chunk of that mountain range behind us. And there is a fault line, a seismic fault line running down the ridge. What we found out is there is two sub-faults that are coming from the mountain range and following the base of the canyon here. So we are actually here on a sub-fault. The fault explains, in a way, the nature and the complexity of the soil, where on one side of the mountain range, you have a big mound of basalt covered with clay, and on this side of the mountain, behind me, is a huge mound of volcanic ash and volcanic rocks. So the Cabernet has been planted on the volcanic rocks, and the Merlot is planted on the clay soil. We are above our Merlot vineyard, and I wanted to show you the side of that here because it's a perfect example of what the nature of that whole hill is. It's basically a big mound of basalt, and this side here has been abraded by wind and rain. Rain has a little bit of carbonic acid, which is an acid, it's a weak acid, but it's an acid that is created from the CO2 in the air and moisture, and it basically decomposes the rock. In some areas, those rocks, when they decompose into gray sand. So we are here more in the canyon, in the mouth of the canyon. As you notice as we walked, the soil from that gray beige area started turning browner and redder and redder and redder. Mm-hmm. I wanted to point out to that gray rock sticking out from that face here. That's the basalt sub-rock of that hill that sure. It's showing up here.
Sure.
But again, everything here is still covered with clay because it has not been affected by the wind and the strong moisture flow coming from the bay over there.
Sure.
And again, we are right above a good part of our Merlot, and we're going to keep walking, and I'll show you the soil over there is really, really red in color, lots of iron there.
Great.
And that's what Merlot really like, is that clay, that iron-rich clay. So here in this part of the canyon, we have the creek that is draining that side of the mountain coming down, and there is a huge amount of red clay that was basically washed down by the three creeks that are coming down here. And you can see the side of the hill has like probably 6 or 8 feet of reddish clay, and that come down all the way to the creek in the canyon. And some of our best Merlot is actually planted on that thick red clay. So the other part of the mountain, still basalt, but a thick layer also of red clay on top of it. We are here at the base of our little gold trail going to the Cabernet Sauvignon vineyard. And you can see in the back our Merlot and the red soil, the red clay showing up on the corner of that canyon. And the Merlot is planted on clay. Then at the base of the canyon there is the creek that is a dividing line between those two geological areas. And on this side, as we walk up the little trail, you're going to see the rock base made out of andesite and covered with volcanic ash. Powdery in some areas, more chunky in others, but basically all volcanic ash. So completely different soil from one side of the canyon than to the other. So here we are on the volcanic side of the property. The whole area here is a big mound of volcanic ash. Very powdery on this side and more rocky on this one, just gravity doing its work. And those vines here that are 22 years old now, if you notice, they don't grow taller than 5 feet. They dwarf. They dwarf by the lack of nutrition, which is perfect for what we want to accomplish in this vineyard. So very, very, very poor soil, fractured rock, as we saw on those excavation slabs down below at the winery. The root system has been able to penetrate quite deep, probably 15 feet here, and they get their nutrition, very in minute amount. So the end result is you have small leaf, tiny clusters, small berries, very thick skin, which we know in wine, flavors, aromas, and color, they're all coming from the skin. So structure, this is the spine basically of our Cabernet Sauvignon. When you go that way, it becomes more fruity. And the blend of the several parcels of Cabernet Sauvignon allows the winemaker to create, a wine of great complexity.